Is Wednesday, March 19th, 2020. This is the Village of Lake Bluff Board of Trustees emergency meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Ankerman. Here. Trustee Charlo.
Present.
Trustee Dewart.
Here.
Trustee Markey. Here. Trustee Meyer.
Here.
Trustee Toll.
Here.
Okay. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United
States of America.
States of America.
And to the republic
And to the republic which stands
one nation, under God,
liberty and
justice for all.
with
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Ah.
Echoing, I'm sorry. Apologize. Okay. The Village President, Board of Trustees allots 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the Village Board of Trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the Village Board is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. I also want to point out that everyone should know that the Village advertised this emergency meeting in a variety of ways, which included a special e-newsletter that advised that this meeting would be videotaped live on Lake Bluff's Channel 19, and that any written comments may be submitted to vlb@lakebluff.org prior to noon and will be distributed to the trustees, which Village Administrator Irvin has done, and he thinks he will read emails that we have received. Do we have any emails on any agenda that's not on the agenda?
Not for anything that's not on the agenda.
Okay. All right, so then we'll go directly into.
Wait, you know what, that's actually not clear. Hold on, let me double check. I just received one. Stand
You
by.
did? Okay.
So while you're doing that, Drew, if I understand correctly, that email address is still open, and that any member of the public who's watching and who wants to provide, and who did not want to attend the meeting in person but wants to provide comments or questions, they can email. The village administrator is monitoring that email, and that those comments will be read and responded to at the meeting before it adjourns.
Correct.
Good. Thank you for that clarification. Is there anything, or are you still reading it?
If I understand this email, it has to do with non-business. That's for anything that's on the agenda today. But the question deals with, I'll read it. Could you also address building permits in the meeting and do your best to be disciplined in spending in this emergency situation? I'll go ahead and read the entire just to be safe. I'll read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing, please.
So, hello, leaders. I wish all members of the village staff, board, and planning committee safety and best decisions planning. I am strongly against any special consideration for 3-on-3 in Stonebridge. Schools can't handle 80 residential homes. Respect the current property rights over development. We can't afford it. Could you also address building permits in the meeting and do your best to be disciplined in spending in this emergency situation? I wanted to express my thoughts just in case meetings are via conference calls like over Thanksgiving. Cordially, be well. And I can say the name of the resident,
Yeah.
Renee Boyle, and she lists her phone number.
Okay, thank you.
So I will speak that there's nothing on tonight or today's agenda dealing with Block 3 or PMD tool regarding 3-on-3, nor is there anything on today's agenda dealing with Stonebridge or anything related to that planned residential development. The building permit situation during this unique period of time dealing with COVID-19 has been fluid. So currently, we are still processing building permits. We have staff working behind closed doors to analyze and review plans, and then staff is setting up inspections as necessary, working with our building community and by appointment only. So that's what's happening right now in dealing with building permits.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We will now address an ordinance amending Chapter 5 of Title 5 of the Lake Bluff Municipal Code regarding civil emergencies. The attached ordinance amends the emergency powers provisions of the village code by, one, expanding the definition of civil emergencies to include epidemics of infectious disease, extending the duration of a declared civil emergency, and more explicitly describing the various types of emergency orders the village president may issue during a civil emergency. Given the increasing risk of exposure to an infection of COVID-19, it will be recommended that the second reading be waived so as to allow for the village president's immediate declaration of emergencies. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak? Sir, would you like to speak?
I'm just here kind of as.
Okay, you don't have to. You don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I'm.
You speak in the mic too, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm just here as a representative of the business community. We, operate a fitness studio. Oh, my name is Zach Rivera. I own Focus Results Personal Training. And so we have at no more than 8 people at one time within our space, and we've been diligent, and we understand the severity of the issue. And we're just trying to operate our business as any small business owner would like to do, and also take care of our clients. We've also done almost about 50% of our sessions now are completely online and virtual because of the situation. So we're trying to have our clients be safe as well as our trainers. But as our trainers, and obviously myself and my wife who own the space, we're reliant on our doors to be open, or at least be able to do virtual sessions in order to pay the trainers, for them to make a living, for us to make a living. It's pretty much imperative that we have that ability to be able to operate our business to some degree. And I had emailed before about even having more restrictions if we need to, having more time in between sessions to completely sanitize, but we're a one-on-one training space. And like I said, we have no more than 8 people at one time, and that would be the absolute max. And we never really get to that, especially now, so.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your concerns. Truly do. All right. I would like to read at this point, ask for this emergency, all right, on this one. Do we have any questions from the board?
This is on the ordinance.
This is directly on the ordinance itself. Okay, hearing none. This could be a voice vote.
On first reading, it can be a voice vote.
Yes, I know, second reading would have to be a,
Right.
right. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Drew, do you have a motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Hold on.
All right.
Madam President, I would point out you did not have a motion yet.
Yeah,
on
we
that.
know.
I'm so sorry, thank you. I'm a little discombobulated today, I apologize. Okay, thank you. All righty, do I have a
And
motion?
so
to-
moved by Meyer.
Okay, pardon?
Moved by Bill Meyer.
All right, do I have a second?
Second by
Second
Aaron
by
Toll.
Joy.
Aaron Toll.
By Aaron Toll.
And just to-
Aaron?
Just to clarify, this is an ordinance amending
Trustee Toll?
Chapter 5 of Title 5 of the Lake Bluff Municipal Code regarding civil emergencies. All right, hearing no questions, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we have any nays? Any opposed? Hearing none, the first reading is passed. We now have a waiver of second reading. Do I have a motion to waive second reading of this ordinance?
Stewart says so moved.
Okay,
Trustee Stewart?
Second by Mr. Shallow.
all right.
Stewart made the motion, Regis Charlo made the second
All
motion.
right, thank you. We now have a first and a second. Are there any comments or questions by the board regarding waiver of the second reading? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Trustee Ankerman?
No, hold on, we'll call the roll.
The clerk can't?
Oh,
Aye.
I'm sorry, that was the clerk.
That's
I thought
the
that was
clerk.
trustee Ankerman. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll start again.
Oh,
Trustee Ankerman. Aye. Trustee Charlo.
Aye.
Aye. Trustee
Aye.
Dort. Trustee Markey.
Aye.
Trustee Meyer. Trustee Toll.
Aye. Aye.
all right. Now it is at
So
the
the vote on that was 6-0.
6-0.
By roll call.
In favor, okay, by roll call, thank you. All right. The next item is the village president executes a declaration of emergency. I would like to read it in its entirety so there is no misunderstanding. I, Village President Kathleen O'Hara, do hereby issue the declaration of emergency for the village of Lake Bluff this 19th day of March, 2020. The United States Centers for Disease Control, CDC, the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and the World Health Organization have each determined that the SARS-CoV-2 virus causes the COVID-19 respiratory disease. That SARS-CoV-2 virus is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in humans and is easily spread from person to person. The COVID-19 disease can result in serious illness and death. Dozens of confirmed cases of COVID-19 have been identified in the state of Illinois to date. Most of these cases in Illinois are in the greater Chicagoland area, including Lake County, Illinois. On January 31st, 2020, the Secretary of Human Services declared a public health emergency for the United States of America concerning COVID-19. On March 9th, 2020, Governor Pritzker issued a disaster proclamation concerning the spread of COVID-19 in Illinois. On March 11th, 2020, WHO declared that the spread of COVID-19 is a global pandemic. On March 13th, 2020, President Trump declared a national emergency concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. The Illinois Department of Public Health has now confirmed localized community person-to-person transmission of COVID-19 in Illinois, significantly increasing the risk of exposure and infection to Illinois general public and creating an extreme public health risk in the village and throughout the state. As has been experienced in other locales in the United States and around the world, the SARS-CoV-2 virus has the potential to infect large number of people in a short amount of time, placing extreme burdens on the healthcare system and the economy. In order to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the village and to protect the residents of the village from disease and death, I find that it is necessary to issue this declaration to implement emergency regulations and orders, all as set forth in this declaration. This declaration is issued pursuant to the authority granted to me by Sections 5-5-2, 5-5-3 of the Lake Bluff Municipal Code as amended, Sections 11-1-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code, 65 ILCS-5-11-1-6, and Section 11 of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency Act. I hereby declare that a state of emergency exists in the village of Lake Bluff for the reasons set forth in this declaration. I hereby direct and order the following. Emergency purchasing. I order that the village may enter into contracts for the emergency purchase of goods and services that may be necessary for the preparation for and response to and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. The village president and the village administrator are hereby authorized to execute such contracts in accordance with applicable law. Emergency staffing. This declaration constitutes a declaration of civil emergency under the village's collective bargaining agreements. Accordingly, I direct the village administrator to implement such emergency staffing protocols and procedures as may be necessary for the preservation of public health and safety, and for the preservation of the health of village employees. Specifically, and without limitation of the foregoing, the village administrator is authorized to implement alternative staffing protocols, procedures, and shifts for the village police and public works departments. I also direct all village officials and employees to take all practical steps to coordinate the village's resources and emergency operations with the state of Illinois, the county of Lake, and all other local governments in and around the village to best utilize resources of all agencies in the areas for the preparation for, response to, and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Beginning on March 19th, 2020, all physical fitness facilities and membership sports and recreation clubs as defined in the zoning regulations of the Village Code shall be closed and prohibited from operating and being open to their members or to the public for the duration of the declaration. Pursuant to the authority vested in me pursuant to Section 5-5-3 of the Village Code, I reserve the right to issue additional emergency regulations and orders in furtherance of this declaration. Notice of any additional recreations and orders will be provided to the village clerk, posted on the village website, and otherwise provided to the general public as quickly as practical. This declaration shall take effect immediately and shall expire automatically upon the first to occur of the adjournment of the next regular or special or emergency meeting of the corporate authorities of the village, and 11:59 p.m. on the date that is 7 days after this declaration, provided, however, that corporate authorities, in their discretion, may extend the duration of this declaration by a majority vote at any regular, special, or emergency meetings of the corporate authorities. Are there any questions from the trustees? Okay, I believe, did we ask?
I have a question. On the first page,
Yes,
on the second page actually, it says emergency purchasing order that the village may enter into contracts. The village president and the village administrator. Is that the village president and or the village administrator? Have you both the right to enter into those contracts?
okay,
It is an and, or is it an and or?
okay, let me,
It's an and. Either one has that authority. They both have the authority. It does not say that they have to, that everything has to be both. They each have that authority.
Okay, so it should be and or. Okay.
okay, thank you. Just anyone else
Can
have a?
you, can you describe in a little more detail the effective date and the period? It goes the adjournment of the next regular or special or emergency meeting, and the date 7 days after. So it's the first to occur. So if we're, just to clarify, we don't have, for example, a second meeting in the month of March. And so based on that, the first to occur would be 7 days from now.
Correct, and we
Is
don't
that
have.
correct?
Right, and we do not have a meeting scheduled with this board until April 13th.
Okay.
Okay,
So how is this
well, we.
So that-
All right, well, we are going to ask for,
ended or continued?
okay, I'm gonna ask our lawyer to
So-
elaborate.
You've interpreted it exactly correctly. The Emergency Management Act and the code that you just amended allows the village board to extend that deadline. And that's why I think we're going to entertain a motion that the village administrator emailed earlier that basically turns that extension, flips it, so that it's the later of 7 days or the adjournment of the next regular, special, or emergency meeting, which would then be presumably the next, since we're not going to be meeting within 7 days, at least that's the current plan, it would be the adjournment, it would continue until the adjournment of the next meeting, which may be your first regularly scheduled meeting in April.
Correct.
Okay.
Understood.
All right.
I just wanted to make sure that we discuss that up front.
Right. So at this point, unless,
That's fine.
okay, unless I have another question or concern from the board members, I would ask for a motion to extend the duration of this declaration of emergency. Do I have a motion?
I
question?
have a question really quick about number 4. And I realize when we talk about physical fitness facilities, we're talking mostly about large facilities. But I'm just wondering if there's any way we could adjust that language to allow places, like smaller places, to allow one person or two persons to come in and have some kind of training one-on-one, or are we just really set on having all those places close their doors? I just know we have a lot of small fitness facilities in Lake Bluff that really do cater to just a couple of people at a time.
I do understand that. Trust me, I do. I'm certainly not thrilled about having to do this declaration, but I am closing them all. And that is under
Okay.
that's under my authority to do
Okay.
so. Okay? But I
Madam
truly
President, this is
understand.
Trustee Meyer. I have a motion if you are ready.
All righty, do I have a motion? Thank you for Trustee Meyer.
He's going to read. Bill, are you going to read the?
Yep, I move that the duration of the declaration of civil emergency executed by the village president on this date and any additional emergency regulations and orders in furtherance of that declaration shall be extended until the date that is 7 days from the date of this motion, or until the adjournment of the next regular, special, or emergency meeting of the board, whichever occurs later.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Aaron Toll.
Okay, this would be a voice vote, all in,
Let's do a roll call,
let's do a roll call then.
unless there's discussion.
Trustee Charlo.
Yes.
Trustee Dort.
Aye.
Trustee Markey. Aye. Trustee Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Toll.
Aye.
Trustee Ankerman. Aye.
As a reminder, the next meeting of the village board is planned for April 13th, but in circumstances that could force an earlier meeting at some point in time, or even a cancellation of that meeting, we don't know yet. But I would like to address anyone that's listening. I truly believe that at this point in time, we have to do this. I am hoping that it will not be for a long duration, and I truly understand how this will affect a lot of local businesses and everything else, both locally and nationally. But I'm afraid I have to look paramount that public safety and health are paramount for us. And we feel that this is the right, I certainly feel this, at this point, is the right way to go. So I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just for clarity, I know that was Regis Charlot for the second. Who was was that Barbara or Joy who made the, who first?
It was Joy.
Joy, thank you, Joy.
Joy.
Thank you.
Joy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are adjourned.